Hi guys, so some people might be wondering why on earth I've started my video halfway through putting the base on my eyes. The first part was because I forgot to shut my curtains so my face looks so uneven, and the second part was that the smile that I did at the start of filming was awful, so I just skipped that bit out. But I am going in with base shade 2 of the P. Louise bases, and I'm just packing it on with one of the P. Louise base brushes, just pat in motion so that it goes on nice, thick and creamy, ready for our colours today. I'm doing sort of like a really brightly coloured halo eye, sort of like a halo mixed in with sort of like a cut crease, bit of a difference, but it's really bright, so we're going for oranges and pinks today. So I'm just going to get my Peaches and Cream PC11 brush and just blend out all of the edges so that there are no obvious lines. So for today's look, I'm going to be using the Carnival XL Pro Palette by Stacey Marie, and I'm going to be going in with the shade Reckless for my first blend, and I'm going to be using my Kit Stars N30 small tapered brush. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to pack it on so that a lot of the pigment goes onto my eye. So I'm going to pack this colour on in sort of like a half circle motion, and then after I've packed it on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dust off all of the excess that I've got on my brush and just lightly go around the edges so that the edges are softly blended. So I'm now going to grab my Morphe M514 brush, and as you can see in a minute, I start to hesitate as to which colour I want to put on next because I did not plan this look before I started filming it. But I am actually going to go in with the shade Persuasion from the Stacey Marie palette, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack this one on top of the Reckless shade, and just pack it on as much as I can, and then like the other one, tap off the excess that I've got on that and then blend the edges so that they're nice and buffed out. So I'm now going to grab my brush Zoeva 224, and as like the last time, I struggled to find another colour that I want to blend in with this one, but I do end up going with Influence from the Stacey Marie palette. What I'm going to do with this one is pack it on top like I did with the others onto Persuasion, and I do like to do the 50-50 technique so that you're putting your brush sort of half onto the shade Persuasion, half onto the normal base without anything on. This just makes the transition very nice and it just blends them out really nicely as well. And then, like I say, what I'm going to do then is tap off the excess and just buff around the edges. So after I buff around the edges with my Zoeva brush, I then go in with my Peaches and Cream PC10, and what this does is, because it's a clean brush, it just buffs out the edges just that little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is go back in with my 3 shades, just pack a bit more pigment on. This just adds a bit more depth and makes the transitions really nice so that you get a really good blend on them. So once I've finished all of my shading on my eye, I'm going to go underneath with a face wipe, and I'm just going to remove all of the excess, so all of the fallout from my pigments, because the Stacey Marie palette, you do tend to find it does have quite a bit of fallout. So I'm just going to clean under the eye and then prep with my P. Louise Base Shade 2 again, just ready to do my blends under my eye. So after buffing out my base with my PC11 brush, I'm now going to go back in with my Kit Stars brush and go in with Reckless, and then do the same sort of technique that I did on top of my eye, and then put Persuasion and Influence underneath. I am going for quite a dramatic eye look today, so it is going to come quite far down, so it is going to be quite a dark eyeshadow today. So now I've finished the eye, I'm going to quickly go and do my other eye, and then I'll come back to you when they're both done and we'll put the pigment on. So I've now done both of my eyes, and this is when you get to the point where you have to think, trust the process. So I'm going in back with my P. Louise brush, back in with the shade, with the Base Shade 2, and I'm just gonna pop on and pack on the base, ready for my pigment. So I'm gonna do sort of like, again, a half circle, making sure that I've got a lot of product onto my eye. So now I'm going in with my Morphe M431, and I'm just going to buff out slightly around the edges of my crease. This is just going to be able to blend the pigment and into the eyeshadow that little bit more. So I've now got my Peaches and Cream pigment, which is factor 50. It's sort of like a bright orange with slight iridescent twinge to it. And I'm going to pop that on with my Unicorn Cosmetics brush. I'm not too sure, they don't really have numbers on the Unicorn Cosmetic brushes, but it comes in the class of the 95 kit. And I'm just going to pack that on, making sure I get lots of pigment onto my eye. So I'm now going in with my Peaches and Cream PC07 brush, and I'm going into my shade Reckless again. And all I'm going to do now is just go slightly around the edges of that pigment, just to make sure that it's blended nicely in with the eyeshadow. So I've now finished my other eye, so I'm going to go on to my second eye. If you're doing this with a model, it's quite easy to do both eyes at the same time, but if you're doing it on yourself, you don't want the base to print further up the eye than you want to, so it is probably easier to do one eye at a time. So I'm now going in with my foundation, which is HD Brows Foundation in shade Sand, and I'm going to be popping it on with my Zoeva 105 brush. Now this brush is actually a highlighter brush, but I think it's a bit too big to be a highlighter brush, so I use it for my foundation. Now the way that I apply my foundation is patting. This just tends to give a full even coverage throughout the whole of your face. So I'm now going to take my P. Louise base shade 0.5 and mix that in with my foundation on the back of my hand. I don't really tend to use concealers that much, I just tend to mix my P. Louise bases into my foundations, just because I do think that they're really full coverage. If I was to use any concealers, it would be Tarte Cosmetics. I'm going to do that with my PC18 brush from Peaches and Cream. I'm now going in with my trusty pair of eyelashes that I use for almost every look. These are my Unicorn Cosmetic lashes. Again, I cannot tell you what lashes they are because I lost the box quite a while ago. I do tend to put my eyelash glue on my eyelashes before I finish my face makeup, just because it does allow the glue time to go a bit tacky. I'm now going to go in with my setting powder, and for this I'm going to be using my brush PC19 from, again, Peaches and Cream. I'm just going to set this just so I know for a fact that it's not going to budge. Now I'm going to go in with my PC04 Peaches and Cream brush, and I'm going to use my Peaches and Cream bronzer and just contour my face. I'm also just going to take this time to put my lashes on because they have dried quite a bit now. So again, going back in with my Peaches and Cream PC04 brush. I don't have a blusher, so I tend to use some light shades of pink eyeshadow. Sounds stupid, but it does tend to be a lot more pigmented, so I quite like using it. And I'm now going to go in with my highlighter. For this I use Bare Minerals, and I always spray it with my MAC setting spray. This just gets the pigment out quite a bit, so you do tend to get more of a dewy look. And for this I'm using my Zoeva 134. This isn't actually a highlighter brush, but I just think it's dead fluffy and really nice to use. I'm now just going to pop some mascara on my lashes. After I'd taken the photos, I'd noticed that I hadn't actually put that much mascara on, or as much as I should have. So sometimes I do use a brush to apply my mascara. I tend to find it goes on quite nicer and it's quite even when you do that as well. So I'm now going in with my Peaches and Cream lip liner Punchline, and I'm going to line the lips and then blend it out with my Unicorn Cosmetic brush. I'm then going to take my Peaches and Cream gloss and again apply it with the same Unicorn Cosmetics brush. And then, like I've said in previous videos, I don't tend to put anything through my eyebrows purely because I've had them laminated, so I don't actually need anything through them. Sometimes I'll maybe put a little bit of pencil through them if I want them a bit darker, but I have only recently had them done, so I don't think they really need anything through them at all. If you're thinking of having lamination, I definitely recommend it. It's an amazing treatment for your brows. This look is brilliant for festivals and fancy dress parties. That's it all completed. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you recreate this at home. Thank you. Bye.